The M4 Pro MacBook Pro is here, and I'm doing something you probably haven't seen yet because a lot of reviewers are focusing on the maxed out model of either the M4 Pro or the M4 Max chip, but I'm taking a look at the base model M4 Pro chip. This is the one with 12 CPU cores, the one with 16 GPU cores, the one that sits at that nice $2,000 price point and comes with a lot of the nice upgrades. Basically, the base model of the M4 Pro version, and I gotta say, spoiler alert, I was blown away by this Mac. And I think after watching this, you're not gonna wanna upgrade to anything else. So when you first look at the MacBook Pro, you might not think there's anything new with this model besides just the chip upgrades because it looks exactly the same as the Apple Silicon MacBook Pros we have been getting since 2021. The outward design is exactly the same, but there are some pretty big upgrades here that have nothing to do with the chip. I would say the biggest one is when you actually open up the MacBook Pro, you are getting a better display now that is much brighter. So the old displays for SDR content, which is basically, when you look at things that aren't HDR, every time you look at the desktop or open up a web page, that maxed out at 600 nits of brightness. While on these new MacBook Pros, they now max out at 1000 nits of brightness, and it makes a lot of difference. Now, I believe this 1000 nits of brightness is only toggled automatically when you're in very bright environments or like directly in the sunlight, and it is very bright. It makes things a lot more legible when you're using this MacBook Pro in those brighter environments like the outdoors. Another thing that's really nice is the ports, right? They're upgraded on the USB-C ports. They're now Thunderbolt 5 ports. I don't have any Thunderbolt 5 accessories, but these are really fast ports. They can get up to 120 gigabits per second. I've seen some external drives on the market that can do like 6,000 read or write speeds, and that is actually faster than the internal drive inside of this MacBook Pro. And it's not a slow drive. It gets up to 3,500 write speeds and 5,100 read speeds. But again, you put an external Thunderbolt 5 drive in here, you can get speeds faster than that now. So that is a really nice upgrade to see on the ports. And it could mean maybe driving like a future 6K display at 120, hertz isn't an impossibility anymore. There's the bandwidth here with Thunderbolt 5. And then the last improvement is actually the webcam. And this is something I talked about in my buyer's guide video as maybe being a weakness because Apple told us it was a center stage webcam, but they also said it was a 12 megapixel center stage webcam, and they never used that wording before. So I wasn't sure if I should expect the same center stage webcam that's in my studio display or in the iPads that looks a little bit grainy. But on this MacBook Pro, I was pleasantly surprised testing out this webcam that the center stage webcam in the M4 MacBook Pro seems to be much sharper than the studio display version. That's really the only other version I could compare that's in a Mac right now. And it is a big upgrade. I would say that it looks about just as good or even a little bit better than the old MacBook Pro's webcam. And you even get like a nice desk view option where it kind of like uses that ultra wide angle field of view on the camera. You can kind of see in front of you, but depending on how you position the lid of the MacBook Pro, it can create some really weird angles. So if you're trying to show off something on your desk, just make sure the lid's kind of like straight up like this, and then you'll get a better experience. So those are all the feature upgrades inside of the MacBook Pro, but really the big upgrade inside of this machine is the new M4 Pro chip. Now again, this is the base model version, so you probably have two questions. Number one, how much weaker is this binned M4 Pro chip compared to the full 14-core M4 Pro chip that you can get for an optional $200? And then your second question is also, how much more powerful is this M4 Pro chip compared to the last M3 Pro chip? And you might even be wondering, how much more powerful is the base level M4 Pro chip compared to the regular M4 chip? Well, we're gonna answer all of that. So I have good news for you. I was expecting this M4 Pro chip, and you can go back and watch my previous videos. I did some calculations trying to estimate how powerful this machine would be, and I had it scoring around like an 18,000 in multi-core performance. Well, when we look at a Geekbench benchmark, we can see that no. In single core performance, we are getting that 3,900 area, 4,000 single core performance. We already saw that leaked, but we didn't see the leak for the multi-core performance because Apple did not send this unit out to reviewers. And maybe I could see why. And it's not because it's bad, it's because it's really, really good. So we're getting around a 20,450 multi-core Geekbench score. That is really good. That's only about 2,000 less than the additional $200 M4 Pro machine. And in fact, for that $200, you're only getting a 7% increase in performance, which is not that much. When you're looking at the old M3 Pro version, you're actually getting a 29% improvement over the full 12-core M3 Pro. That was, again, a $200 optional upgrade on last year's model. And then on the base model, the one compared directly against this one, the 11-core version, you're seeing a 37% improvement in multi-core CPU performance. Those are huge year-over-year gains for the base model chip. One thing you'll also notice on this chart is that the M4 is basically right in line with the M3 Pro performance. So even if you're getting the lowest end $1,600 M4 MacBook Pro, you're actually getting a machine that performs very similarly in CPU performance to the old M3 Pro machine. So this is a win all around for all base models this year. But CPU is only half the story. What about the GPU performance in this Mac? Well, again, I thought that the 20-core GPU would score much higher than this 16-core version in the M4 Pro in my initial estimates. But again, I was wrong. So I ran a metal GPU benchmark, and you can see that the scores are very similar. In fact, the 20-core version is only a 10% improvement over the 16-core version. The thing that might really surprise me here is maybe how good this Mac might be for gaming. Now again, don't forget, a lot of games aren't optimized for Mac, and even this benchmark I'm running isn't optimized for the Mac, but I ran the Shadow of the Tomb Raider benchmark on the highest settings, and for this Mac, I saw a very stable frame rate the whole time. Usually Macs, even when they're scoring high, they usually have choppy frame rates throughout. And this one scored very high. It scored over 60 frames per second, 74 frames per second to be exact on the average. And that was a 40% increase over the 14-core M3 Pro. But overall, I don't know if you can tell, I am very surprised by the results for this M4 MacBook Pro. This machine is delivering on an insane value right now when you look at these performance metrics and when you look at the configuration itself, right? Don't forget, they also bumped the memory on the M4 Pro chip to now start at 24 gigabytes of memory when it used to start at 18 gigabytes of memory. So you're getting a very powerful CPU. You're getting a pretty good GPU too, all things considered, when you look at last year's model. And the way I would describe this base model M4 Pro is you're kind of getting around the same levels of performance that you did on the M3 Max chip from last year, which was about a $1,000 upgrade for that chip over the old M3 Pro. And now you're just getting that as standard in this new M4 Pro machine. And the M3 Pro was kind of a disappointment last year. That chip really was just not that good because it came with a lot of efficiency cores. So it really wasn't all that different from the M2 Pro. But thankfully, that is really different this year. The M4 Pro is outscoring the M3 Pro by a lot. It is a big chip upgrade. Apple is not just focusing on the Max chips this year. And even though, yes, you can get a more powerful M4 Max chip, you can go even higher than this. I think the story this year is the base models are really good. Really, really, really good. So yeah, if you're looking to buy an M4 Pro base model MacBook Pro, I think this might be the one to get. It is a really good option. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please leave me a like. If you want to see more from the channel, don't forget we're trying to get to 400,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So make sure you're subscribed. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.